What do we say, fam? Welcome to Simplexity, a podcast that we take seemingly complex matters and attempt to make them plain and simple. I'm going to be honest with you, Boots. With this new mic setup, I feel like I need to lean in.
You do.
When in fact, I really don't. This mic
you do
is
need to lean in.
sufficient enough to capture.
I feel like we've discovered that that's not true.
I do need to lean in?
Yeah.
Do I really?
Well,
No.
I mean, here's the thing. Before we get too off topic,
Okay.
you have a propensity to talk like this.
Or like this.
Yeah. So as long as we're in this range, it's okay.
Okay. All right.
Sorry.
I'm gonna stay
Didn't mean to
put.
steal your thunder there.
Trust the technology.
It's my motto.
But I will say,
Except AI. Don't trust that.
oh gosh. But I will say I like your shirt today.
You know, I thought I put this one on with a lot of confidence.
As you should be.
And I thought, he will not make fun of this shirt.
No, I will not.
And if you notice, if you look closely, the stripes have a green tint to them, which really highlights.
Oh,
Becca's wearing green. You're wearing white again.
this is staple.
Another white undershirt.
I don't think
and
you
Mike,
can go wrong with a white T-shirt. It's classic. It's good. You just want to do a fashion episode? Because I could
feel like
talk
we've
about
done that
this
already.
all day.
I don't think I could pull it
You
off.
cannot go wrong with a white T-shirt. I think more men should rock white T-shirts. It's simple. It's never cheesy.
No?
It's always appropriate.
You're speaking with a lot of certainty. And
You can even go to formal events or even upper class sort of settings, and if you tuck it in, nowadays,
with
you're
like
doing it.
anything over it?
Nothing over it.
I don't believe that. A white T-shirt tucked in
Beck, can I get a fact check on a white T-shirt tucked in?
for a formal event.
Not formal,
That's
actually.
what you said.
You are right, and I'm going to retract that. Not formal, but like a nice restaurant.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Totes.
well, that's not quite the same thing.
It is
has
not.
to be not jean pants.
First fact
That's-
check of season 3 in the books.
In the books. Yeah, but see, I'm not wearing jeans. See? Look. These are a little black, a little
Okay.
high cut. Uh-huh. It's almost like a,
Okay, but that's
Chino.
not our episode today.
okay, but hey, we're,
like
wa-
chino.
we're way off.
Hey, speaking of formal events, though,
Uh-huh. We got an event coming up.
that's not what I meant. I meant the subject matter for today.
Oh, yeah.
Because we're talking about Christian weddings, which is a formal event.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I was just being told that we need to add a disclaimer to this, and that is...
Producers are telling me.
Yes, that this one may offend some, but we do it with the purest of motives because
As
we
we
want
always do.
with pure hearts and sincerely want to help those that are getting ready to plan a wedding or anticipating a forthcoming wedding. This is largely going to offend those that have already had their wedding.
Yeah. Well, this will likely be the most controversial topic that
amen.
we've ever discussed.
Right. There will be lots of disagreement concerning this.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, we're going to stand our ground.
It's what we do.
This is how we roll. So when it comes to this idea of Christian weddings, it has been my experience as a pastor and one that tends to really take it all in. Like
Well, and let's just say you perform a lot lot of weddings.
This
and,
is-
and as lead pastor of Lighthouse Church, you're in high demand. Well, I mean, let's just be real.
you said it.
Yeah, I can say it. You can't.
However, I don't do nearly as many weddings as I used to do.
He's taking a step back, guys. Yeah. But I just wanted to say that you have a lot of experience
Yes.
in being a vital part of weddings, so you see them up close and personal.
And personal. So I see the behind the scenes, I see the preparation of, I've seen shotgun weddings, I've seen long thought out weddings, I've seen backyard weddings, I've seen the highest class weddings. I've done
bet.
weddings that, hey, they had to scrimp and scrape and save, you know, they did it with, you know, the little money that they had, and it was hot dogs on a grill. Actually, truth be told, those are some of the funnest, best weddings. Then I've seen.
Just because you like hot dogs, though.
That's exactly right. Yeah. You got a good hot dog bar. I'm going to tell you right now, you're a winner in my book. But then I've seen weddings that have cost upwards of $200,000. True story.
Holy moly.
True story. I've done a wedding where an entire field was rented on the water at some undisclosed location in Maryland, and yet furniture was rented. And I'm not talking about shabby furniture or outdoor furniture. I'm talking full-on sectional sofas that were placed in the middle of this field so that people could have their cocktails while overlooking the water, not sitting in Adirondack chairs, not sitting in fold chairs, in living room furniture that was placed in a field only then to become picked up the next day. It was incredible. Steak and lobster for dinner. Oh yeah. So I've seen it all. I know what I'm talking about.
I believe that. Who told you how much was spent on these weddings?
I asked.
Who did you ask?
And just another thing about me.
And why are they telling the minister?
I have no shame.
Yeah, we spent
in my
$200,000 on this bad boy.
And you're like, how much am I getting paid? $200.
And then it just so happens they forget my check. Listen, I did one wedding one time. We're way ahead of ourselves, but we're going somewhere with this. So if you're a listener or viewer, you just hang with me. I did a wedding one time wherein the parents offered either we will pay not only the down payment, but half the mortgage of a house of your choosing, or
Of your choosing.
because oh yeah, bet, or we will give you all the money for the wedding, and then you use it for that.
Okay.
They chose the wedding.
That
Insanity.
No.
Say it, Boots.
I don't think that word
Yes.
captures what I'm feeling right now. It's
But this is what happens.
Atrocious.
You get myopic and you get tunnel vision, and there's such a hype around this single day, and I'm standing there thinking the whole time, wait a minute. Tomorrow morning is but a few hours away where you're going to wake up and realize
we could have had a house.
you could have a house. And yet it was spent on a single event.
Yeah.
Okay, so I of course I want to caution that, but that was further down the road. But we just jumped right into it with both feet. But here's the deal with weddings. Here's why I'm passionate about this.
Yeah, that's what I want to know.
Because we have lost, to a degree, not everyone, so I don't want to too overtly broad brush here, but I do want to say that we have lost the meaning of what that wedding ceremony is about, the importance therein, and the sacred nature that it should uphold. When it gets down to a wedding ceremony, you are really there to communicate 4 things. What do you think they are?
I have no idea.
4 things that really, that event, that ceremony, that moment that you're standing, making a covenant one to another and under God, you are communicating sincerity,
Okay.
stability,
Sincerity in what?
sincerity in one's love for another, and the importance of the moment, that they understand this moment is a big deal. We often say a marriage is not a contract between 2 people, but a covenant made between 2 people. There should be a true sincerity and weight that both couples carry into that. So they're communicating a sincerity.
Okay.
Secondly, a stability that, hey, we've thought this through. This isn't like fly by night. We're not standing in a little white chapel before Elvis, in Vegas talking about.
Except for those shotgun weddings you did.
Totally. But even then, I communicate, listen, we're communicating sincerity, stability, exclusivity.
I don't like the way that word feels.
Well, then you're not ready to get married. Hannah, did you hear that?
That's not what I meant.
My man
I was
doesn't
being
like exclusivity.
facetious.
Okay. Yeah, we'll talk offline, weirdo.
Yeah.
And then lastly, fidelity. Sincerity, stability, exclusivity, and fidelity.
Selling
This is
insurance?
it. So,
We're gonna get sued. Sorry.
This is it. This is a big moment.
Yeah.
And so all the underpinnings of a wedding ceremony. Notice this subject matter is not about marriage. Marriage is after the wedding. I'm talking about the ceremony.
Yeah.
Because the ceremony can either underpin those four things or it can distract from those four things. And I think in our modern day ceremonies, we've gotten a long way from what the wedding ceremony was intended to communicate and the importance therein. Because we try to add all these little trinkets and toys, and we're trying to live up to an Instagram post rather than the weight of a ceremony. And so having done a ton of them, do you know, early on in the years of Lighthouse, when it was an incredible season. We left Pasadena, this was our first move, and we moved to Glen Burnie, and we were growing like weeds. I mean, it was an exponential growth. And God was doing such an amazing and incredible work that all of these young couples were coming to church. Many of them were living together. They already had kids together. And because God was moving in such a real way and convicting way, all of these couples just started to say, we want to make this relationship honest. Mm-hmm. It was so beautiful. It wasn't, I would preach on it, but then there would be this incredible response to it. Like, how do we make this honest? And so they do quick premarital counseling, and then, because they were already living like they were married, and so in 3 months, I believe the year was 2004, 2005, I did 17 weddings in 3 months. I mean, I was just driving all over Maryland like I was on a circuit, just marrying couples, showing up, calling them the wrong name. I mean, it was crazy. But it was such a move of God, and I wanted to really steward it, and really, God was doing something that I didn't want to get in the way of it, and it was a beautiful season. But you can imagine, within those 3 months, I saw a ton, and then that was close to 10 years ago. And so I've done a lot of weddings since, and so I've seen a lot of ceremonies.
So I'm no math magician, but 17 weddings in the course of 3 months.
That's 16 weeks. You do the math, little partner.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know how you survived that season.
One weekend I did a couple weddings in a single day. That's right.
And then that's why you have Becca now, so that you don't do that kind of craziness.
Because while I was marrying all those people, Ruth was talking about divorcing me. So we had to make some changes.
You didn't see her for a while, I guess. Okay, so in what ways do you think, you've talked about kind of those four things that a wedding ceremony should underpin. Yes. In what ways have we, with modern ceremonies, gotten away from those things, would you say?
Yeah, okay. So this is going to get detailed. Nevertheless, I just wrote a couple notes. Like, okay, so like the incorporation of animals.
That's a great way to start this item.
So
incorporation of
so
animals.
Listen,
like guests,
like guests or participants. So
doing the ceremony.
Listen, I got a Doberman. I love my dog. I love my dog. I mean, he's part of the family. Yeah. But he shouldn't be part of the wedding. Like, I have sat too many times and listened to couples be like, oh, well, our dog is going to be the ring bearer. Or the dog is going to, he's going to come down the aisle and be part of the groomsmen, right? And it's always told me, but they're really trained. They're never trained. They get in that setting and they go hog wild.
How could you not?
Those dogs don't know what to do. They don't know where the aisle is.
They've never been to a wedding before.
Right. So
they don't know the decorum.
Everywhere.
The etiquette.
Totally. They don't know how to read the itinerary.
They can't read the room. You kidding me?
So they're running all over the place. We have to then either stand there or sit there and then out of our charity laugh.
Yeah, while act like this is cute, but it's not.
It's not cute. It's daggone it. It's not cute. They're running up the aisles. They're ripping up the floor, carpet runner. So let's maybe put a pause on the animals.
Okay.
We try to get cute with the rings. This one time I saw where I was to ask the best man, hey, can you hand me the rings? The rings. This is the
Big deal.
This is the big deal. This is post-vow. This is rings we're going to place on one another's finger while we look into one another's eyes, and we solemnly communicate our sincerity, fidelity, exclusivity. And I asked the best man for a ring. He slides this leather thing on his arm. Boots. He holds his arm up to cue the bird.
Was it like a falcon?
It was like a falcon or a hawk or I don't know. It could have been a vulture. I don't know what it was.
Wild turkey.
It was big. It was a big bird.
Was it?
And he is released by the bird's owner, and he's got on his ankle the rings. It's like in a little leather satchel, little leather like bag, and he's going to land. And then the best man, they did practice this and did all. No, actually, I'm sorry, they never practiced it. You know why? Because that cost more money to get them to the rehearsal and to do a run through. So the young man holds his arm out for this big old bird to lock into the leather because his talons are like that long. And yet he swoops down and just keeps on flying. I lie not. I mean, we're on a tree line. The bird just flew
into the forest.
And therein, and all you see is the little leather bag with the rings. And so the bird's owner is like running out into the field, like
got like a little whistle.
Stop with the animals.
They never got married.
Yeah, we had to wait, and then he finally got him. It took him 15 minutes to bring the rings over because, this was supposed to take place in Hagerstown. By the time he got the bird, it was in Cumberland. It was ridiculous. All that.
What did you do?
I just stood.
Because you're performing the wedding, right?
Yeah.
You weren't just attending. Mm-hmm. So what do you stand there like?
Oh no. I have.
You're pretty good at like on the spot, rolling with helping people feel comfortable in uncomfortable situations.
Totally.
How do you restore that?
I'll tell you how I restore it. I just make sure that my fingerprint isn't anywhere near it. So I blame it all on this was their idea.
Yeah.
And now so until we get the rings, you can sit there and make fun of them.
Okay.
And then the rings are coming, and then we'll pick up where we left off. Yeah. I don't want anybody to think I came up with the bird idea.
That's the one that you didn't get paid, though.
Okay, so animals. Let's think through the animals. If you're going to have an animal there, make sure, I know he's your best friend, but let's make sure that the animals know the part to play.
How about this? If you're going to have an animal there, don't.
Hey, well said. Well said. Okay, so animals, dogs, and cats and birds. Let's get into.
Has a cat ever been at one?
No, I've never seen a cat, actually. Yeah,
Okay.
so, yeah. Just in case somebody was thinking about doing that. Yeah, we just wanted to help you out.
Yeah.
Let's talk about vows. Okay, when it comes to writing vows, again, I love it. I love it when groom bride wants to write their own vows, but the criteria should be structured because you're communicating sincerity, you're communicating stability, you're communicating exclusivity, you're communicating fidelity. In doing so, I want to remind, let's not make promises that we cannot deliver on.
I'll never let you down.
Yes, you will.
Yeah.
I'm always going to make you coffee in the morning. No, you're not. I'm not going to. I listened to one couple say that I solemnly swear not to let.
Are they getting sworn into court?
Oh, yeah. Promising that I won't go to bed mad. Oh, yes, you will. Yes, you will. I know the Bible says that we ought not, take our anger to bed and let the sun go down on our wrath. You will. Yeah. You will. The Bible commends that, but we shouldn't promise that.
Yeah.
Why? Because we can't deliver on that. Let's just not promise it. Let's not make these big, grandiose promises. That should be a sacred moment. And so think it through. And really, here's the problem, is that when you allow the event to dictate your actions rather than your actions create the culture of the event. I know that sounds a bit like a mind bender, but hear me on this. We now in 2023, 22, 21, 20, we'll just back up a few years.
Keep going.
We have gotten into this Instagram culture of where the event can lend itself to a bit of a performance.
Yeah.
Let's not do that.
Well, you got to be unique, different, better.
Totally. It's got to be Graham-worthy.
Yeah.
You got cameras on you. We're going to put this video out. All this stuff that you wind up performing rather than remembering the sacred nature of the ceremony and what it is that you want to communicate. In high church, when it comes down to the establishment of the wedding ceremony, the people there are not extras in the cast. The people there are witnesses to affirm the covenant that you two are making one to another and under God, with the priest and or pastor being the officiant to walk each into that. And so I think the baseline needs to be reestablished sometimes in a wedding so that we don't get lost in the field with birds and animals and
Gophers.
And gophers and promises.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions on that?
Well, Professor, I don't have any questions at this point in the lecture. What I would say is I want to get into some more of the things that you find weird about the don'ts. So we've covered, what have we covered? We've covered the vows, we've covered the animals. What about flow of ceremony?
Yeah.
What are some aspects that are just
flow of ceremony where it gets into little additions, things like that. Let's think through
because we did say Christian weddings in particular.
That is
so.
Right.
Let's go in that direction.
Absolutely. So when it comes to Christian weddings, I cannot commend enough the importance of taking communion together. And a lot of times there are additions made to the ceremony that get in the way of communion, where if you were to purge those things out, then you could have space and place for a really incredible moment. But yet we...
Like what? Purge what?
Yeah, purge like...
Here's where you're going to offend people. Go ahead.
So when it comes into the unity sand, let's think through that.
I haven't seen that one.
Oh, you haven't seen the mixing of the sands?
No, I've seen a peanut butter and jelly sandwich come together.
Okay, hey.
Which sounds similar.
I've never seen that. Have you really? Okay, that was a miss.
All right, Unity Sands.
Unity Sands. Okay, Unity Sands is where it's the coalescing of different colored sands so as to communicate, what God has joined together, let no person separate. And so neither can you separate.
You cannot separate these sands at this point, ladies
Right.
and gentlemen.
But let's make sure that when we're doing it, we understand the importance of it and that you don't spill it. Let's understand that maybe you should practice that. If you're going to incorporate the kids, if it's a blended family, they should know their part, why they're standing before witnesses. So let's get that down. Okay, that's a moment that's communicating fidelity, exclusivity, sincerity, stability. Let's make sure that we know what we're doing when we do that.
So to you, it's not doing that, it's just the execution of it?
It's the execution and the communication of the big why. Not just because you saw it somewhere and it was cute and it had a good background music to it and you thought we're going to do that. Nope, let's think through that. When it comes to building what's called the unity cross, Okay, make sure that you get that from a good place, like not Kirkland's, because they're always busted.
IKEA.
And they don't give you enough wooden pegs to keep it all together, so you're building like a half-crooked, busted cross.
That old rugged cross.
In front of a whole bunch of people, and it looks like you're starting off on a wrong foot because you couldn't even put the wooden pegs in the cross. Let's figure that out. You do that at the dinner table.
I would not do well with that.
No. Oh, no, it's
I'm
like a
not good at
Jenga puzzle.
Putting
It's
furniture together. I would. Where are the instructions?
It's all kinds of a train wreck. Let's think it through.
Okay.
I've seen that done probably being conservative 10 times. I've seen it done well 0.
Really? Wow.
Maybe one. And he was an engineer.
Okay.
He knew what he was doing.
Yeah, he had a plan.
He had a plan. So all those like little additions of where you're going to do it, it's cute. Okay, let's just do it. It should be fun. I'm not talking that everybody's standing in their wedding ceremony stoic and sacred. It should have a degree of joy and levity to it, but let's not distract from the main thing. Okay.
Okay.
This is so opinion.
That one got Mike.
But it's my opinion.
Yeah. And
So-
it's valuable.
Amen. And it's our podcast.
We get to talk about
Yes.
things. Yeah. Okay, what else?
Okay. Hey, walkout song. Come on.
Like
Walkout
Walk
song.
out. At what point? Because there's a lot of walkout songs.
Yeah, okay. So that's going to, thank you. That's a great question because that's going to segue right into the DJ. So let's say, so when you choose your walkout song, if you do a Christian wedding where your focus is, we're going to be God glorifying, we're going to champion Jesus. The charge to the pastor is when you give the sermonette, it should be gospel centered. All of that stuff. Don't make your walkout song something that's counter that.
Like what?
Like, don't have WAP as your walkout song when you're exiting the ceremony. I have felt, there's been times, whether it was ridden with curse words, whether it was sort of a degree of hip hop, whether it was a country song that was way over sexualized. I don't mind a little romantic, little country, even a little 80s pop. I like that. I like that. Little Duran Duran, little Depeche Mode, little Cure.
Whoa.
I'm going way back. Mike, you feel me? Not really. Or hey, I'm not saying that you got to have a worship song. All I'm saying is make the song congruent with the importance of the ceremony.
Okay.
That there's an alignment there. And make sure that it's not like cheesy. That's where you get to put your little fingerprint on it. Like that's special. So
What if you are a cheesy person?
that's a great question. If you are cheesy, hey,
Not asking for it. I mean,
not that you know anybody
No,
that's cheesy.
no.
Stick to, hey, you stick to you. But cheese has then a lot to do with the DJ. Let's scrutinize DJs better.
okay.
What
Yeah.
that means is
that seems like a lot where people try to cut down on their bottom line.
yes, just because you have a cousin
Yeah.
that
I've seen some.
that's got a playlist does not mean that he's fit because you ran out of cash. I'm going to tell you right now.
Spent it all on the Falcon.
You spent it all on the bird. So listen, when it comes to the DJ, we want to make sure that the DJ has, now this is in the after party, Boots.
Yeah.
This is when it's getting ready to go down.
This is after the sand has come together.
Yes, this is after the cross fell apart. This is now the levity of the evening.
Yeah.
Okay. Make sure that he has a playlist that's past 2008.
Yeah.
You want to make sure a man knows what's going on. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he's personable. He gets names right. Tell your DJ if you got,
At
hey,
the wedding party.
read the names back to me.
Yeah.
Okay, that should be taken care of. Let's not do that on the spot when he's standing there,
Yeah.
after trying to figure it out while the cats are busting through. Okay, hey, let's talk about the bridal party coming into the room.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because this will be helpful for me, just because
Yeah.
recently I've been in a number of weddings,
Right.
and I'm getting kind of sick of trying to think through what I'm supposed to do when
Yeah. Listen,
I'm walking
guys.
in.
Listen, team. Everybody huddle up. Let's just stop it. Okay? Let's stop the dancing entering the room.
Yeah.
Hey,
Here we go.
let's stop with the fishing
Oh,
rod.
yeah, with the
okay?
jumping in.
Hey. If you do the fishing rod, you should be canceled. If you do
Yeah.
the hook and reel, okay? Let's keep it classy, fam. Let's keep it classy. That's all I got. I digress.
Yeah.
That one's gonna get me in trouble.
It will.
It will. So DJ, listen, let's talk about first dance. Okay? Butterfly kisses.
I don't know that one, I don't think.
Cue it up. Look, Mike is not happy.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it to you right now. And just for our listeners, if they don't know what butterfly kisses, oh, who's calling? Butterfly kisses.
There's two things I know for sure.
Okay, that sounds vaguely familiar.
Hey, can't.
Yeah.
I love you. I love you too much not to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh, here's one.
Okay. Yeah, would you please get in trouble with me?
Yeah. Well,
Sure.
no, I'm gonna tee you up. As a former best man,
Oh,
3 times, no big deal. Let's talk speeches.
oh, Boots. Oh, Boots.
Here we go.
Yeah. How about you? I'd like.
But no, hang on. Because here's the thing. Is you as an avid communicator? I want to hear where your head goes when people, because like you can get up. You don't necessarily need to have something uber planned. You'll just roll with it, be funny, talk. But when you see other people enter into that arena without necessarily a lot of
Yes.
experience
Yes.
or expertise,
Yes.
what have you seen there?
Okay. Wonderful question and a beautiful tee up, little partner. Here's what I've seen. I've seen that there are some communicators and personalities that can walk the tightrope of both communicating sincerity of heart and really congratulating and championing either the groom or the bridesmaid. I've seen, while at the same time, to a degree, performing. So they do have a degree of relational equity or just savviness in really invoking a response from, the dinner party, the audience, yada, yada, yada. And they know what they're doing. And I think most of them then become Graham-worthy. Like when you watch best man speeches or, you know what I'm talking about, right,
Weird.
Matt?
Mine haven't been put on Instagram, but anyway, go ahead.
A speech on Instagram?
Yeah, like
I've never seen
yeah.
that, to be fair.
Boots is just offended that his has not made it to that arena yet. So I would say those
I want to hear about the people who get it wrong. Come on.
right. So what
Spill
happens?
the tea, Pastor.
So when you get it wrong many times, it's that you've been a little unguarded with the degree of transparency. Okay, so you're going to go back in their childhood and talk about all the foolish things that they did, and then pull back the veil of what they did that one night. Okay, be careful with that.
Yeah.
Be careful with that. Though it may invoke a chuckle, many times it's an awkward chuckle. Like,
Yeah.
we didn't need to know that, okay? And then my man's going to have to go home to the honeymoon suite and explain that. Let's not do that to him.
So what was he talking about?
And you didn't tell me that you. Okay, so let's be a little more guarded with the secrets, okay, and let's be a little less performing and a little more focused on this is to build up,
Yeah.
not to invoke, laughter. I think if you walk that line, and you keep your boundaries clear, it keeps you in a safe space. It doesn't cause us to feel awkward.
Yeah.
And you don't need to say, hey, bear with me. This is a big crowd. I've never done this before. We all know that.
Yeah.
We know that. We are for you, providing that you're communicating with sincerity how much you love the person that you're speaking about, rather than trying to get or elicit, a response from
Yeah.
us. Does that make sense? Sort of, kind of?
Mike says no.
Yeah, Mike says yeah.
I feel like crowds in weddings, like for those kind of speeches, are pretty amicable.
Yes.
In the sense that they want you to do well.
They want you to
And
win.
If you give the even slightest joke or something that could remotely be funny, they'll
Yeah.
because they're uncomfortable.
Right.
The one thing that I don't like, so I've definitely seen grooms, best men do the
Talk about high school where, he had 17 girls
or whatever. And
Yeah.
It's like, what are you doing?
Right.
I don't like, and this is a little bit rude of me, but I don't
like
like
it.
I don't like the reading voice when somebody's like doing a speech. You know what I mean?
No.
When they're like, Sarah, from the time that we were young, I always remembered that you would decide to marry somebody that you loved. I don't know.
Yes.
It's just like the voice of like every time, like the intonation that everybody copies, and I'm just like, oh man, I don't know.
Yeah.
Is that a me thing?
I think you went a little too far.
Little too far. How did I go too far? The one thing I
They're
say.
reading because they're not comfortable.
I know, but use some expression and intonation and tonal change is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Of just
Hey, you know what? Your opinion.
you were
is
always
worth
so
expressing.
particular about the way that you kept your room. I only hope that Billy can live up to that reputation. It's just like
Yes. All right. Amen.
I don't know.
Nope.
That's me.
And
Or like the overly, man, this is a really judgmental podcast we have
Very,
today.
very.
I'm sorry, people.
Yeah.
But it's the overly
we didn't know it would go like this, but we're still.
overly sentimental.
Yeah.
Because there is a line there too.
You better believe it.
Okay.
Absolutely.
You want it meaningful and you want it touching, I
Yep.
would say. But when it's like a bit too much,
Yeah.
I get uncomfortable.
Amen. No.
But that could be a me problem.
No.
Anyway,
I
we've
think there's
talked
a
about-
time and place and space. Yes.
We've talked about speeches enough.
Okay. Yes, we have. I think we've eviscerated just about everybody. Okay. Let's bring it in. Hey, let's be helpful now.
Okay, let's be helpful real quick though.
Yeah. I like.
Don't
that.
worry, this isn't another bad thing.
Okay.
But before we get into the helpful realm, this is my own curiosity of you who've done so many weddings, 17 in the course of 3 months and then hundreds after that. What would be, as we seek to underpin those 4 elements that you talked about on the front end,
Yeah.
what would be a cool addition that you would suggest to either a wedding ceremony or not the rehearsal, the what's it called? The reception. Yeah.
The reception.
The reception. What's something that either you've seen once before and you're like, oh, that'd be cool, or just something from your observation that you're like, this is something that'd be really cool, unique, but also underpins those 4 things.
Yeah. So one of the coolest things that I saw is I saw the bride and groom one time take a really, for lack of better terms, they had a really sincere portion of time in where they honored the players It wasn't just the honoring the mother, the father. I think that is really cool. I love that. I'm old school. I love the honoring of the parents, whether it's with flowers or what have you. But I saw the bride and groom honor people within the ceremony, not just like the groomsmen or bridesmaids, but people that really mentored, shaped, and influenced them to the glory of God and to the health of their soul. And they spotlighted, this was the impact that you had on me. And this is what we were now taking into our marriage.
Wow.
And so they did that, and they did it articulately, and they did it sincerely, and it really did communicate we are a byproduct of a lot of people's investment.
Yeah.
And this day, as we've now made our covenant, we want to honor these players. I just remember thinking that is so cool. And with a real specificity, like this is what you've done for me.
Yeah.
And this is how you've shaped me. And this is the example that you've given me. I think that is, and you know, obviously it was characteristics, it was really God glorifying, but it lent a real weight to, we understand what this day is about, and we understand why we're here. And so I would say that's a really cool addition. You got to be comfortable to do that because, you know, and you don't want to leave people out. So I understand the tightrope that you're walking there. Nevertheless, done right, I think is really beautiful. That's just one.
Oh, that's a great one. I like that a lot. Cool. So getting into the helpful, you had mentioned the idea of keeping the sacred sacred, which we've talked about before on this podcast.
Yes, we have. A little throwback.
Any other things stand out as to what to do right? Because we talked about what to do wrong a lot.
Yeah. So I would say, let's break it into three, all under the sort of in the macro banner of keeping the sacred sacred.
Okay, so making that practical.
Yes, there's some underpinnings. Number one, let's identify the priorities. What is the priority of that day? The priority should be that, hey, we want to establish, again, sincerity, stability, exclusivity, fidelity. We want to establish that we're making a covenant underneath of God. You know, in antiquity, in Jewish culture, you know, weddings would be a week long. You know, and there would be a lot of partying and a lot of levity in there and a lot of, you know, incredible family coalescing and people and just rejoicing at what God has done. But all of it really was done with the sacred weight and really the importance of here's the priority. And then we want to set these two newlyweds up for success. And so it wasn't just an evening and then, hey, you're on your own, hope it all works out. No, it was a season, a week of rejoicing, worshiping, partying, eating, communing, all of this stuff. So I would say in the context of a wedding ceremony in our present day, let's establish the priorities. What are the priorities that you want to walk away from that in a year after you can look back and say, we covered our bases there. God was glorified, meaning the gospel was elevated, Jesus was focused on. Really, we honored certain people. We really did. There should be, you know, the reason that I love communion is because it's my time with the bride and groom to pray and to establish before we walk out in the company of everyone and make then, because immediately following communion is what is then the pronouncement and then the presentation. This is where I now pronounce you husband and wife. Therefore, let what God has joined together, let no man separate. Then I spin them around and say, ladies and gentlemen, let me be first to introduce to you. Right prior to that, I love to pause and just say, let's make no mistake. The reason that we're here is because of Jesus. The reason that we are making this covenant underneath of his headship is because he saved our souls. And he established a beautiful union that he's going to glorify himself through. And so we break bread, we take communion in that moment so that we are reestablished before we get caught up in the party. Amen. And go party. But before that, let's remember the why before the what and really thank God for it. That's a priority of mine. And I feel like it should be of husband and wife and groom and bride.
And remembering the why of what?
The why that we're here. well, we're here because of Jesus.
Yeah.
And we're here for Jesus.
Okay.
That leads me into the second, which is remember who gets the glory. So and all of that is just a train of thought. Hear me on this. So I think that if you establish who gets the glory from this ceremony, who is it that we want to spotlight and point our attention and affection to? If that be Jesus, the one that you're making the covenant under, I think then that creates the boundaries. If you want the glory, and I'm not saying it shouldn't be picture worthy. Hear me, I'm not an old fuddy-duddy where I'm like, oh man, like I said, you should be stoic and this should be a real drag, and spend a lot of money doing it. That's the last thing I'm talking about. But if you establish who gets the glory, then it keeps you to a degree from performing. Mm-hmm. That it's not about whether or not this is going to make a good reel. But does God really get the glory? And is this really an incredible moment for all to be part of?
Yeah.
And
I've been part of or attended a lot of weddings that I would say that's the case.
Okay.
What I would say is I'm just trying to think. It's almost, for me.
Yeah.
Just for me, it's tough to identify specifically what makes that the case.
Huh.
In the sense that culture would tell us, this is just culture.
Yeah.
It's all about the bride, right?
That's right. That's right.
And so what does it look like to properly honor, properly spotlight bride and the groom, but also to make it all about Jesus? Like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, what does that kind of look like?
Yeah. I think you are right on the money, buddy, that a lot of that is found in nuance. Mm-hmm. There's a degree of nuance of weight and calculated decisions and all of that stuff. And so I'm a little reserved in causing one to overthink it, because then it can get like contrived and weird and cold.
Because we've probably seen that too.
We have seen that, this is why people are a little adverse to starting the ceremony with worship. I get that. I get that. That creates a whole tone and atmosphere. And a lot of people that are coming to a ceremony, they don't, if they're friends or they're unsaved or they haven't met Jesus, worshiping at the beginning of can be a bit confusing. So I understand the calculated decision. We're gonna hold fire on that. Mm-hmm. Therein lies a nuance.
There's a nuance. The analogy I thought of while you were explaining that is like the person who it's their birthday, but they're like, it's not about me.
Yeah.
Don't celebrate me today.
Exactly.
Like not like a healthy humility, but like an over
spiritual.
Yeah. And it's just like, can't we have a balance of like celebrating you, but not thinking that the world revolves around you?
Totally.
So maybe that's
yeah,
somewhere in
well
there.
said. I think that captures.
I don't celebrate my birthday. Okay.
You're a J-Wo?
It's just another day, buddy. Okay, man. Never mind on that Chipotle.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, call me.
Yeah. I'll just leave it at a text next time. Okay.
And then lastly, I would say let's create firm boundaries to ward off the enemy of cheesiness. Let's do better, fam.
I have a hard time with that. Okay, what's that mean?
What that means is that you listen to this podcast, and if there were any contemplating of introducing these elements into,
we didn't even mention the foot washing, which Mike just had a visceral reaction to that.
Boots said no foot washing. Hey,
and I just attended. Big fella, Nick, if you're watching right now,
love
it was
you,
beautiful.
Man.
But watching you try to put your shoe back on was a little tough for me.
Right. And if you are going to wash one another's feet, let's get after them toenails before game time, okay? Let's go ahead. Let's be ready.
Put that basin away.
You hired a photographer. Let's be ready for him, okay? Anyway.
So, a lot of things to navigate.
Yeah, there's a lot to process here. And if we did offend, it wasn't our intention. But we love you. And Boots, let's wrap it up.
Yeah. Before we... Hey, we said this one was going to be
That's right.
contentious.
Amen.
So just forgive us for that one. But we want to thank you guys for following us wherever you get your podcasts. Also follow us on Instagram. That's @Simplexity Podcast. Haven't given Seattle a shout out in a while, but still love you guys.
Yes, we do.
Yeah,
Audience is growing out there. Is it not back?
it certainly is.
Love it.
Also follow us on YouTube @Simplex. Or no, that's the Simplexity playlist on the Lighthouse Church channel.
That's right. Love you guys.